Continuing here. So, yeah, I just want to finish off this bit about capitalism. People talk about capitalism, bandy this term about. It's like, this is anything but capitalism, what we've had going on in America since the assassination of JFK, okay? This is a bunch of bull. This is supply and demand, free market turned on its head. In what way was 2008 free market? It was the opposite, the antithesis of free market capitalism. Okay, that's just a matter of fact. Okay, anybody that knows just the most basic principles of true capitalism knows that was anti-capitalistic, anti-free market, anti-supply and demand. Okay, and we still got it. It's flourishing in the land, and people love it. They call themselves. They operate under the moniker, the pretense of being capitalist, and they're communists. They don't want things changed. They don't. You think? What do you think? These farmers want the food stamp subsidy to go away? Okay. You see, once you open these cans of worms, these Pandora's boxes, they're really hard to close. Remember, we're being manipulated. We're being corralled by evildoers. And these evildoers do not have our best interests at heart, okay? They want us enslaved in perpetuity, forever. You understand? They don't ever want things to change. They want things to just keep going in this trajectory, death and destruction. They're into oblivion. That's all. The only answer they have. So unless we grab the bull by the horns and parent these people successfully with the power that God enables us, okay, to stand against these people and speak truth to power. You don't need to rant and rave, but just laying the truth out there in a manner that's irrefutable, indisputable, where nobody can argue the math, okay? They can't argue the statistics, the facts, the truth. Okay, that is powerful enough, and these people don't like that. But I'm here to tell you we have not had true capitalism in America in many decades, okay, 55 and a half that I know of since the assassination of JFK. Okay, it's been going that direction, and it's been slow, incremental, gradual, like the boiling of a frog, so it doesn't jump out of the water and revolt. They don't want it to revolt. They don't want any problems here. They don't want to rock the boat too much. But we've had it ramped up. I mean, 2008 was close. I mean, when you got 90% of the people and you're going against their will and you're still trying to call it a democracy, okay, but you're just, oh, we're the ones in the know. These people just don't know that these people are just too big to jail and they're just too big to fail, and we can't let this market correction. Although the mainstream media never, well, we should have this. You know, they never took the side of the American people. They took the Bilderberger side. That no, we're going to bail out the thieves, the criminals out there that caused all these problems on purpose, not through incompetence, but on purpose. They knew what they were doing. They stole the wealth. So who are they stealing the wealth from? Okay, the working class, the poor working class, the labor class, by making it ever harder to enter middle class home ownership. They don't want us free. They don't want the public. They need to have a huge swath of enslaved people, and that huge swath of enslaved people is growing as I speak. And it's not, I don't blame Trump. I know he's trying, but we got states like California where that's the trajectory, that they're just going to la 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 la. I don't know what's going on. I don't, we're just going to put the state in debt and tell you we're in the black, and we're just going to tell you, that we need more taxes. We're going to raise your gas taxes and warn you. The mainstream media is glad to say, well, if you vote against this gas tax, you know that what you're going to have, all these roads are going to keep falling apart. Well, I say call their bluff. Just like they bluff about shutting down the government. Good, shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. You're all overpaid. Okay, all you contractors are paying these fortunes, billions of dollars to Caltrans here, who's supposed to be in charge of the roads and all this. We got city and county and state workers out there on the roads and all this. Well, you just use your money more efficiently. Okay, do something. Pull a rabbit out of the hat. Maybe you better start using undocumented workers. Okay, do you hire them, Caltrans? Do you hire undocumented workers? You need to save some money here. You got to compete because California is in debt to over $1 trillion. And we got Governor Moonbeam out there showing us how we're in the black, and we got this rainy day fund, so all you politicians and legislators, all you politicos can give yourselves raises, right? That's only reasonable. You need a cost of living adjustment. Registration went up on your car, but not on the new cars that the rich people are driving. It went up on the old cars that the poor people are driving. They are literally taxing the poor. California is all the way communist now, okay, which is most communists say, no, that's capitalism that's doing it. Well, I'm telling you, it sure as hell isn't capitalism, any capitalism that I know of. Okay, it is not. It's mutant. It is fascist. It's divisive. Okay, it's classist. It's what's causing this wealth imbalance. It's what's causing the misery in our land, the increasing misery, and it is increasing as I speak. So you tell me where it's going to stop, what it's going to take for people to get it, that this isn't going to work, that you just can't keep increasing the state debt and the national debt and just putting it on the backs of the poor by raising their cost of living tax. Gasoline is something everybody has to buy. Old cars are something everybody's got to drive. Okay, and yet you're going to do this crap? I mean, this is, and we're going to tolerate it. So the degree of tyranny we live under, like Thomas Jefferson said, is the degree we tolerate, the degree we accept, unless we do what the Haitians did and say, no, hell no, you're not going to do it. Hell no, well, you know, whatever. I mean, I'm not into violence or destruction and what do they call property destruction, vandalism. I'm not into all that, but we've got to say it in a forceful manner that these people can't. But how are we going to do it? We're impotent. We don't own, the peeps don't own the mainstream media. The Bilderberger class owns them and all these high-ranking politicos, and they're all insulated. These collusive special interest groups that are conspiring against the masses being free. That's the opposite of what they want. They want us to always be beholden to them. You go out there, you earn Satan's ambrosia, and you give it to me, damn it. And if you need a few welfare crumbs so that you can survive, so be it. You know, we might dole those out if you qualify. But if you don't qualify, or if we're spent out like Section 8 and you know, that's it. Sorry, there's no more soup for you, and you know it's going to be hard to get another 50 billion approved just so we can exacerbate the problem some more and create more homelessness and more unaffordable housing out there for people, because that's all it's done. By dumping that welfare subsidy into housing, it's just created housing prices to soar, housing costs to soar, rental costs to soar. If it did the opposite, maybe I'd feel differently about it. It hasn't. You know, I was thinking recently the last time I liked and supported a president was Jimmy Carter. And you could say what you want about him. I know he's not perfect. He's a man, and he probably did some stupid things that I wouldn't have thought were okay. But I like Jimmy Carter. I think he was genuine, sincere. And I think if we had given him another term, there might have been hope. You know, but again, at the right time in history, and that's it. God's ultimately in charge of this thing, okay? But you would have seen your cost of living be reset. That's what we needed. When the gas companies were saying, hey, look, we got to raise the price of gas. We got this supply issue. See, they had to cite actual stuff that made sense back then. So when it came to raising the price of gas, it was regulated like anything the public needs, just like this is the pretense for why they regulate natural gas and electricity, right? The public has a say. These are public-owned companies, or at least they're supposed to be. At least they're supposed to, you know, have the optics thereof. But we know there's private shareholders, and the water is supposed to be public utility, all this kind of thing. Well, housing, because these are essential human needs. The same thing, that's the pretense for why you're supposed to have, or the context for why you're supposed to have rent control. But all these things have been obliterated. So this whole idea that we're getting more socialist, or in a good way, is erroneous. It's wrong. They've done nothing but they've decimated any rent control in California, and you see the prices just soaring. Okay, so who's going to blame who? You're going to blame the socialists? The socialists are going to blame the capitalists? I mean, you see where the devil is in the details? I mean, can't we just see this is not good for humanity as a whole? As a civilized society trying to live together in peace and harmony and safety and security and freedom and prosperity and all those good things we all want. This is bad for all of us. That you're not insulated ultimately by you have a conscience. You can't. You think you're enjoying your prosperity, and you can't. Your conscience won't let you. Not when you know that what's good for you is hurting this guy. What you perceive as good for you is hurting this guy, and that's the way it's works. The way crony capitalism works. And bad socialism. It's only socialism for the rich. They're well heeled. unlimited lending power and borrowing power. I mean, these people are buying up their own properties, like buying your own stocks and shares in these companies at 0% interest. What do they care if they put the country in further and further debt, or the state, or the individuals, as long as it's not their problem, you see? And so they think that they're not getting it through osmosis, that they're not getting the misery through us, but they're gonna. We're all getting it. So just wake up, folks. Everybody needs to be empowered with the awakening, with an enlightenment of the truth and understanding basic, fundamental economic principles so that you can hold your own with anybody. You're not going to take a bunch of bull, sit down and say, no, let's do the math. You say that it's hyperbolic to say minimum wage would be $40 an hour on average across the country by now if it had kept up with the cost of living tax. If commensurate adjustments had been given to cost of living over the last 55 years from $1 an hour, the buying power, let's do the math. Let's sit down and calculate what your housing costs were then. This is all matter of public record, what it cost to buy a house, a median price house in 1965, let's say, 1963, go back 55 years, what the minimum wage was, what the food costs were, gasoline, electricity, what the costs for these things were, essential human needs, water, what your water bill was. Let's do the math and see, okay? Let's find out. So, maybe $40 is hyperbolic. I'm willing, to just be honest here, mathematical, logical, reasonable. So let's find out what it would be. But it's a far cry from what it is. I could tell you that. And this didn't happen accidentally. It wasn't just because the people working at the Labor Department are incompetent and stupid. No, this is by deliberation. They're in the pocket of the Federal Reserve in order to steal your wealth. This is collusion, okay? Political collusion. And these people don't care. They've got jobs to go to working at the Labor Department, right? Even though their job is supposed to be protecting the workers' rights and having fair, ethical, moral pay so that people can have a middle-class life and home ownership. If they're willing to work a job, I mean, that's their job, is to protect workers. But is that what they're doing? I mean, why even have a Labor Department if they're not going to protect wages? And how can they protect the wages of undocumented workers when they're in the shadows? This is why Cesar Chavez was against undocumented workers. Do things by the book, by the up and up, so everybody can be protected. And so that the people working here trying to, the contractors can compete. They don't have another contractor hiring illegal, undocumented workers to do the job for half price, and they run the contractors that are trying to go by the book and hire illegal citizens. They drive them out of business because they can't compete. So we've got a big problem. We're in it really, really deep. And it's only by the hand of God, the power of God, that we're going to extricate ourselves from this mess. So I don't want anybody to get their hopes up. But of course, ultimately, you can get your hopes up only because you can have faith in God, that God's will is going to be established on earth and that the captives will eventually be set free. That's the good news I have to bring people, that God's will is going to get done. I have the faith. I have the belief. The good guy is stronger than the bad guy. Light is stronger than darkness. Truth is stronger than lies and deceit. Okay? And on in that theme. And that's why, scientifically speaking, good will prevail. So there is scientific basis, there is logic and reason and math behind my optimism, and that you can embrace that too. But just know you can hold your own with anybody if you just understand rudimentary, fundamental, basic capitalism, supply and demand, free market, and progress relative to that, and how it affects things on a social, political, and economic level, how it decreases wealth imbalance, not from the Robin Hood socialist thing of wealth redistribution, taking from the haves to give to the have-nots, because that doesn't work. It just creates animosity, loopholes for those that can afford to pay the bills of society, and it doesn't work. Okay, so we've got to at least agree to that. Good socialists have to agree to that, and good capitalists have to agree that this crony capitalism is not capitalism. By any stretch of the imagination, by any definition of the word. It produces the opposite results. It has the opposite effect. So please be empowered with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, my friends, because I love everybody. I want the best for everybody because I know that's what's going to bring me happiness. That's what's best for me. I want everybody to be free. That's where my freedom is in your freedom, his freedom, her freedom. And prosperity is the best way to measure that. And the most gentle, sure way to have that is through sound economic policies, gradual prosperity across the board. I would love that. Just sound economic policies, sound currency will do that. True capitalism will do that. Supply and demand and free market will do that. Okay, but this other direction is never going to do it. And it's oblivion. I don't know where the end of the line is. I don't know how bad it'll get in America before people put their foot down, their collective feet, and say, I don't care. Yeah, I'm a socialist. Yeah, I'm a liberal. Or yeah, I'm a conservative. Yeah, I'm a capitalist. But you know, I'm honest. I'm honest. And I see the devil's in the details, to keeping us divided instead of unifying under the idea that we're just going to extricate ourselves. We're going to demand justice in the land. And that means we're going to demand to see our cost of living